Welcome back, my viewers, to the podcast of my channel where I talk about random stuff about Undertale, Deltarune, and Deoxin. It's been a while. My laptop was having technical difficulties, so I'm back. On good news, though, my channel is more than a year old, and I got 5 subscribers. Now that might not sound like much to you, but for me, from the way I see it, my subscriber count uh, went into 5 times of infinity. Oh, by the way, 0 into 1 is in maths, we do it as 0 into infinity, we do it as 1. So, like, yeah, my nerdy stuff. And anyway, thank you, my 5 subscribers, for sticking here with me. Anyway, now let's get into the content of today. Today, I'm going to be talking about the revival theory of Undertale, and that's not going to be much of the video. The most of the video is going to be centered around some of the plot holes that I asked some of you guys in on Reddit, and you gave me three of the redditors gave me the plot holes. So I'm going to be discussing about those plot holes today. First off, about the revival theory. In case you don't know, uh, um, I don't remember if this theory was there back when Undertale started, namely because I was not part of the community back then. I have joined this community relatively recently. Anyway, this theory got a lot of more traction after the release of Undertale Yellow, namely because people did not want, you know, because the character of Clover, people wanted the souls to come back to life in Undertale. The 6 human souls that were killed by Asgore, well, presumably killed by him. I made an entire video about them, but you know, that died. There's a theory that states that maybe in the ending of True Pacifist ending of Undertale, maybe they have come back to life. So today I'm going to be talking about that theory. Well, there are there seem to be some arguments for both sides of the theory, like the supporting and the people who oppose the theory. The main supporting facts being, uh, like, I can I don't really know what the original theory said. I'm just presuming that there are some supporting and some opposing evidence. So, from my point of view, I see that the supporting evidence being, sorry, had to pause the recording there because of reasons, uh, house cleaning and all of that. It's been a while, so anyway, as I was saying, uh, the main supporting evidence that I think of is that the coffins in the true pacifist ending, well, they seem to have been opened. Yeah, so they are open, and people interpret it in two ways. The theory supporters claim that this means that the souls have come back to life because Azrael thought, you know what, I'm going to do stuff, so why not do this as well? And the opposing to this theory basically say that this just symbolizes the fact that the souls have found peace. Well, like I said, there was supporting and opposing evidence. That's the only piece of evidence that both of the sides can basically rely on, or more accurately, that's the only thing the opposing side of this theory can rely on, because um, as most of you probably know at this point, and because this theory has been floating around for a while, um, this theory has a lot more on the supporting side. First of all, let me stop beating around the bush and say it outright. When Azrael broke this hole, the barrier, the souls that were used in the process were not consumed by it. As in to say that when Azrael broke the barrier, we know that all the monster souls, which remind you are supposedly weaker than human souls, survived the process even after being used to do that. So presumably human souls which are canonically stronger than them, would also survive in the same way. And also, uh, it's never exactly stated that using the souls to break the barrier would, it's never stated that it would consume the souls. It's the way I see it, the barrier being broken through the power of seven human souls is basically like more like an ID card type of thing. Like, that's the thing that the barrier requires to be broken, and not like, you know, like it's not, they're not consumed in the process of all I'm saying. Sorry if I sound awkward. It's been a while since I did the podcasts. Anyway, back to the matter at hand, though. One other thing that the opposing side of the theory also states is the fact that uh, presumably the bodies of the humans would have already decomposed by now. Oh, and yeah, that's a little thing, but yeah, there's I think I saw a meme recently here. In fact, yeah, it's right here. There's a meme, and it literally states that Azrael is a literal god. With it, like monster bodies and monster souls, like monsters in general, are they are weaker than humans. So if he could bring them back unscathed, yeah, there is no way in literal hell that he could not have done the same with more resistant human bodies. Yeah, there is no opposition to that. So there's that. One other thing that I want to mention is the fact that out of all the coffins that have not been opened, I mean, that have been opened, there's only one coffin that has not been opened, and that is the coffin of the first fallen human. Uh, Chara, Kara, whatever the pronunciation you want to give to the child's name, them. And it makes sense, because if you remember properly, which I'm sure you do, the whole thing is that that soul in particular was absorbed by Azrael, in their plan to, free the monsters and all of that, and presumably it shattered along with his own boss monster soul when he died after absorbing it. So it makes perfect sense that out of all these coffins, that is the one coffin that's not open. Like, yeah, Azrael can bring back bodies, but you know he cannot do he cannot bring back souls. Yeah, that's the one thing. Oh, and also, oh, I don't know, but if the opposing side of this theory actually you ever uses it, but one argument I can see being made is that, well, if the human souls are brought back to life, well, why don't we see them in the game? Yeah, why don't we see? Well, to that I say, well, okay, there is like, at this point it's over. Like, the final boss battle is over, everything is over. There is uh, like only a few small things left in the entire game to do. Introducing six new characters in the after the final boss battle that are going to be probably there for less than an hour is not a it's not good storytelling. Also, consider it, take this into factor. uh, the the way the kids see it, they have just woken up in coffins, and they're currently in the place where where they were presumably killed. You think they're going to hang out there? Hell, you think they're going to hang around any monsters? And they're probably either ran out into the surface already, or they have ran somewhere near the ruins, because Toriel is the one person who treated them kindly. Anyway, I wasted about 10 minutes of the video ranting about a theory that the community does not have, you know, It's not original theory and all of that, but anyway, I just wanted to say my thoughts on this theory, and yeah, I support this theory. Now on to the like main part of this video, the plot holes of the supposed plot holes of this. Okay. um, Again, this is from a Reddit post. I will probably like link down in the comments, or I will just provide you with screenshots for this. Anyway, the first one I received was, okay, few problem 6766 submitted the question: why does the first human get conjoined with the last, and why the representation if of our desire for power contain its memories? Um, in case you somehow don't understand, this is basically referring to why of all the human souls, like, if the narrator is Chara theory is to be believed, you know, they somehow got linked to Frisk's soul, and secondly, the representation of our desire for power is, referring to Chara on the genocide route. Uh, so the question is basically, uh, why if all the humans like Chara just got linked to the last human, that is Frisk, and I have an answer to this, and well, you know, the one thing that has been basically like all but simply told to us is, from the interactions we have with Azrael, and by seeing the coffins and all of that, is that of all the human souls, like Frisk and Chara, they seem to have like a lot of similarities. Like not even a little, just straight up a lot of similarities. First of all, their soul is of the same color, which is unique to only them and not the other human souls. Their It seems that they might have some similar tragic pasts with humanity, because as it seems to state that they, you know, Sarah, obviously climbed this mountain. I mean, they climbed the mountain for unhappy reasons, and Fritz, for some reason, has a bandage around them, like for some reason. Anyway, uh, so yeah, and also I just want to take this moment to mention that, like, considering, like, again, the six human souls are not actually characters we meet in game. Like, for all we know, Chara could have like been with them too. It, like, there's no proof saying that Chara hasn't tagged along with for the journeys of these six other kids. For all we know, um, they actually could have. In fact, that might actually explain, now that I think about it, why Chara is willing to give like actual useful information to Frisk. If they encountered, six, decent human beings along that have fallen into the mountain, that might have actually changed their perspective on humanity. Hence, why they are now wanting to help Frisk. In fact, one thing I found interesting, particularly regarding this, when thinking about this, is when Toriel battle says the flavor text for checking her, the narrator, who is most likely Chara, states that Toriel knows the best for us, which means that uh, Chara agrees that Frisk should not go outside and venture into the underground and just stay behind in the ruins. To me, it states that Chara already has somewhat of a decent grasp on the situation, and that might be the direct result of the fact that they might have tagged along the journey for with the other six human souls. In fact, that I also actually might explain the fact that Chara seems to has uh, like an information about almost all the monsters we meet, like their stats, like in the check information, somewhat of a hints of hints of how to spare them and all of that. But Char has been dead for almost 100 years. Like, it would make sense for them to know some things regarding like some of them, you know, such as Frogget and all of that, because they seems to be Froggets seem to be like more of a species than as individual monster. But how do they know about particularly about like monsters like Snowdrake, like Snowdrake and all of them? Y- okay, for the bosses it makes sense. The dreamers, of course, they're Chara's adopted parents, so it would make sense to know about them. We have been given at least some knowledge about a boss, like, you know, a game boss before we battle them, like Papyrus, and then we have met them before their boss battles. It would make sense for Chara to know about them, but like it's hard for me to imagine like individual ones like Glide and all of them. Like Glide, Gift Rot, they seem to be individual monsters and not like an entire species of monsters. So it wouldn't really make sense for them to know these monsters, since these monsters these monsters were uh, presumably born after their death. So yeah, actually, if we go with the assumption that Chara actually followed the other six human souls on their journeys, a lot of things suddenly make sense. Now, with the other half of the question, why does our representation of our desire for power contain its memories? Well, that's the thing. On the genocide route, sure, Chara is a like a representation of the player's desire to get power, like more LV, more stats, and all of that. But they're still a character of their own, right? Like, yeah, it's a valid question. Like, but like from a character can be both a meta perspective and like their own thing. Take Flavi for example. Like Flavi, in this very route, he basically is no, he's practically the same thing as a player. Like he used to want to be friends with everyone, then he devolved into trying to kill something. He did the same route multiple times. He did different like routes, like the genocide route and everything. It's basically that he's basically supposed to be a player who has access to resets, doing multiple routes to see how characters react. But that doesn't mean he's not his own character. He's still like the same. Like he was originally still as real dreamer who died and then become a sociopathic flower. That's a weird sentence. Not weird by Undertale standards though. So yeah. So yeah, the second half of the question, the simple answer is Tarak is simply both. They are both representation of her desire for power, but they're also their own thing who has their own memories. Okay, on to the second question. Okay, the second question is by uh, Jim K. Beasley. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Okay, this question reads genocide retcons. For example, in Neutral Says Pacifist Route, Metton was a performer mm, before becoming a murderer. In Genocide Route, he's a murderer, then a performer. So yeah, mm, I've seen some theories regarding this, and the long and short of it, that I personally think is Alphys was just lying on the passport and neutral routes, because she just wanted to become friends with Frisk, and uh, she has her unique way to make friends, I suppose, in this case. So what I think happened is Metatron was initially built as like in his neo form, uh, from what I remember, and then Alphys showed it to Asgore. She got hired as the royal scientist. Then she did her whole experiment things. Then she eventually, in the meanwhile, she built Metatron his box form, and then later on she started working on his EX form. But it seems that she never finished it because according to Bertrand himself, that form of his is less than efficient in using his power supply. Sorry if I'm stretching it a lot. Anyway, okay, so the long and short of this is like Alphys was just lying in the neutral and Pacific route. Again, uh, in those routes, Alphys lies about a lot. So it's not far fetched to assume that she was, lying about, Metaton and just being a performer, then, you know, then becoming, you know, then becoming a murderer because her program messed up or something like that. Uh, the Yeah, that's all. And also it explains if she showed his new form to Asgore, it makes a lot of sense why Asgore hired another royal scientist. After all, we know from some of the Gastro followers that that position has not been filled for a very long time. But making something that can actually defend monsters and attack humans, that would probably make Asgore think that she is deserving of that post. So that's all about this question. Now on to the third question. This question was submitted by Amber 110505. Anyway, this question's first thing is Frisk presumably getting to the surface on the neutral endings. There's another one, but I want to discuss this one first and then the other one. Okay, so this is basically stemming from the fact that Frisk, presumably in the neutral routes, gets out into the like gets out of the underground during their after their fight with Omega Flavi. What Flavi? I don't want to there is a lot of name for this thing. So just Flavi. Anyway, they battle Flavi and then they presumably leave through a door, and this door is it's very similar to the same door that we leave through in the in the past ending. So this has led people to conclude that Frisk might have left to the surface in the neutral endings, and I would like to just make a speculation. We see the barrier, right? The barrier, and in the one depiction of the barrier we get, it seems to be not just a solid wall and more more like a hallway thing. Light seems to be going. You know what I mean? It resembles more of a hall that has a circulating light through it than like a simple wall. So my theory is that maybe Frisk in their battle with Flavi were able to go to some extent through the barrier, it's 7 souls, so maybe they're a crack theory moment, but there might be 7 layers to the barrier, and they made it 1 or 2 layers in, and they weren't able to get they were stuck between 2 layers of a barrier is all I'm saying. That would serve to explain a few things. And those few things are being that one, Flavi is also here. If you spare him, Flavi is also there, and if Flavi is there in the surface, he would not waste time trying to talk to Fisk. He would rather be killing human beings to get the 7 souls to become a god. There is no timeline in which Flavi is spared, and he decides that talking to a kid is more worth his time than killing 7 human souls. So it would not make sense for this to be surface. Also, if my layers of the barrier theory is correct, that would explain why presumably no monster has been able to locate Frisk, because the only way they are able to communicate to them is through phone. Like if there are 7 layers of the barrier, a monster's soul would not be even able to go past it, like layer one of the barrier, because you know their souls are weaker, like a lot weaker. So my simple answer to this is Fisk was probably stuck between layers of the barrier, and then from there, after the neutral routes, they practically reset, just to be able to give their friends a better ending and all that. By the way, I wanted to discuss some other thing regarding this question. I want to say that according to all the from all the evidences, Frisk actually seems to want to befriend the monsters, and because they actually care about them, and it seems they are also non-violent in nature, because specifically if Sans judges us with an LV, and then in another neutral route after that we get a LV lesser than that. Sans actually mentions that we seemed proud of ourselves, which implies that Frisk might be proud that they were able to get by without having to murder as many monsters. Okay, the second part of the of Amber, their question is the timeline as a whole. It's implied Dogme and Doggeressa were in the nose nuzzling championship with Asgore and Toriel, which means that they must have happened before Chara's death. However, most monsters have never encountered a human, implying that it has been potentially hundreds of years before the last human fell, let alone Chara, Toriel, and Asgore. At least how they excuse that they're boss monsters. Yeah, they're boss monsters. Yeah, so anyway, therefore, immortal without a living child. But why are her Dogman and Doggeressa so old? We know they're not boss monsters, as you don't see their soul when you kill them. So anyway, this to their credit, like this redditor actually he points out that it's possible that you know even though it's the year has been said as 98, they do acknowledge that it can be separate 98s. You know, Toby has already used this trick with Chara and Frisk. Like the date we are shown in the beginning is the date when Chara fell, but Toby makes us feel like it's the year Frisk fell into the underground and all of that. So yeah, it's a trick he used he used before. So there is that, and also considering it's likely that we have not seen the entire underground, like we just took like a straight path from the ruins to the capital. So if there is any other places we have not visited in the underground, I can like reasonably imagine that there being at least one couple out there in the entirety of the underground, that are more good at nose nuzzling than Dogme and Doggeressa. Uh, you know, so anyway, there is that, and also again the different 98s, and also yeah, it's very likely that Chara it's probably been like many hundreds of years. I personally believe, thanks to one theory by Jaru, that it's been exactly 100 years. So there is that. So anyway, those are the three questions that I got out from my viewers, and thank you, my viewers, for the questions, and please continue to give me more questions. In fact, you can give them in this exact comment section. Like, I can even make more videos if you want regarding this plot holes and all of that. So you are welcome. So with that, we come to the end of another video. So thank you for watching, and bye for now.